Denis Cyplenkov is not happy. In fact, he's so mad about the Schoolboy versus Tokarev match, he thinks Schoolboy should immediately accept a rematch offer. Why? Because the refereeing was beyond questionable in that match. These were Denis Cyplenkov's words. So in the recent Body Mania video, Denis gave a little health update as well, like he always does. He said he's been following whatever the doctors has been telling him, and it will take him about 3 more months before he can start his serious preparation. He was seen arm wrestling on the table as well. Again, no pronation, no cupping, was struggling against a relatively unknown guy. So coming back to the subject, Denis thinks that there should definitely be a rematch between Tokarev and Schoolboy. Denis was saying that he knows the Siberian Power Show is a big event, so there was only probably 20 minutes allotted for the Schoolboy versus Tokarev match, but still it's very disrespectful towards the athletes that they didn't have any protests available. Even tournaments allow protests, even tournaments allow these reviews, and there were no replays available for the referees as well. Well, the replays were there, at least we saw that in the video, but maybe the referees were not allowed to check that because of time constraints. That's what I'm thinking. David Dadikian wasn't as upset as Denis Cyplenkov, but he also said that there were some mistakes made by the referees which helped Schoolboy to win, but their strength was more or less the same, and if Tokarev was slightly stronger, all of that would have been out of question. It wouldn't have mattered at all, and Tokarev would have won the super match. Then he was also saying that thank God he won against Todd Hutchings, because after the match, when he saw the video, Todd Hutchings was also making a lot of elbow fouls, and if Dadikian lost the match and then he complained about it later on, then it wouldn't have been a good look. So I watched both of these matches. First of all, the Todd Hutchings versus Dadikian match. From now on, I think the referees need to have a very solid hawk eye on Todd Hutchings, just like they do on Devin Larratt. And I'm saying that because of the elbow fouls and complaints from the fans about the Irakli-Zirakashvili match. But in this Dadikian match, I didn't see any problem. Yes, Todd was making some elbow fouls, but those were getting called, and the fouls that were not called, it was because Dadikian was pinning Todd Hutchings right after the elbow fouls. So it was good for Dadikian that those fouls were not being called on Todd Hutchings, because he won all of those rounds. And then I rewatched the Schoolboy versus Tokarev match. I took a screenshot of all of the questionable moments. Tokarev was complaining a lot about Schoolboy's shoulder touching his hand, which is obviously a foul as per arm wrestling rules. To be honest, I never really liked that rule too much, because I don't have any biceps at all, and even for me to touch my shoulder with my hands, it's almost impossible. So how can these guys do that during a super match? So most of the times, it's the opponent's hand which is touching your shoulder. In this case, Tokarev's hand is touching Schoolboy's shoulder. I guess this is also a foul according to the rules, but then you can just simply open your fingers and touch your opponent's shoulder whenever you want, especially if the guy is a presser. That's why I think this rule is flawed. And even watching the match on slow motion, I did not see any contact between Schoolboy's hands or even Tokarev's hands and Schoolboy's shoulder. So I'm not entirely sure what he was complaining about. There was a very brief moment when Schoolboy's shoulder was crossing the center table, but that's not even what Tokarev was complaining about. I honestly did not find too many troubles in this super match. Whenever there were some fouls on Schoolboy or Tokarev, they were being called correctly. And with the constantly declining standards of refereeing in our sport, I'll say this one was one of the better refed super matches. I did not find many troubles with that. Maybe I should start a review system, like rating referees' performance out of 10 after each super match event. Yes, I'm not an arm wrestler or a referee myself, but it can be something like the big YouTubers, the movie critics. They don't produce movies, they don't act themselves, but if the channel gets big enough, even the serious producers and actors do start to give a lot of weightage to the reviews that those YouTubers put out. So maybe I can do something like that, but for that I'll need a lot of support from you guys. Asian Arm Wrestling Championship will begin this weekend in India, in Delhi. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go there. I wanted to, but I can't. Nurdolet Aider Khan, Daniel Ustinov, many great arm wrestlers are already here. I'll be providing you with the updates. Thanks for watching, like the video, and I'll see you again.